Hello everybody, this is the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly for June 11th, 2018. I'm Scott. I work on CircuitPython and I'm sponsored by Adafruit Industries, along with a couple other folks in the chat here. The remainder of the folks in the chat are community members who are really what makes CircuitPython CircuitPython. We do this chat every week. Everybody is welcome to join. It happens on our Discord. To join Discord, which we text chat during the week, you can go to the URL adafru.it/discord. That'll get you in there. And then this meeting happens in the CircuitPython voice channel, along with the corresponding CircuitPython text channel at Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. If we moved it, we will post to the CircuitPython text channel that the meeting is moving. There's a pin icon in the top right that will let you know that there's more information about it. These videos are recorded and they are posted on YouTube same day. So if you miss it or are on the voice chat, be aware of that. They go to the Adafruit YouTube, so it's youtube.com/Adafruit, and it's both an audio and a video recording. So it's a recording of the text chat because some people are only available on text. I'll also try to read out anything that's specifically meant for everybody's ears in the text channel as well, so that in case you are just listening, you shouldn't miss too much of the stuff. So the meeting is split into 4 parts. The first part is state of CircuitPython, which is brief overview of statistics about what happened in the previous week. Usually they're pulled the day before, so that's when they happen. We'll follow that up with a hug report section, which is a chance to say thank you to folks in the community for the awesome work that they've been doing. We do that in a round robin fashion, so I will start and then we'll go down the list in the voice channel alphabetically. If you're text only, feel free to type in, I'll read it out. If you're just lurking, like a couple of folks mentioned before we got going, I'll just skip them and say so. And the reason we do it that way is because we want to give everybody a chance to speak. We'll follow the hug report section up with a status update section, which is what you've been doing and what you plan on working on in the next week or so, in the same style of round robin style. And then lastly, we'll have kind of a discussion / in the weeds section, which is just getting in the nitty gritty of any topics that we want to cover based on our earlier discussions. If you have a particular topic that falls into that category, you can always ask me to note it, and I will keep it. I take notes with time codes. Those are available on the recordings as well. And I will, if you have a discussion topic, I'll put it there so that we don't forget. So, okay. And if I pause or something, or if you hear me typing, it's because I am taking time codes. So I'll do that right now, and we'll get going. We start off with the state of CircuitPython. This is both the core CircuitPython repo. It's all the libraries. It's the newsletter. Trying to be all encompassing on what makes up CircuitPython. So in the last week, as of last night, we had 22 pull requests merged from 10 different authors, which is really solid. I mean, our goal is to build the community, and that's a great sign. New names that I recognize, or that I don't recognize from before: Mike P. Schneider, D. Gloud, Mike Teachman, A. Pat, S. Conaway. Thank you all for being new contributors to CircuitPython. In the last week, we had 1 new PR from 1 author, D. Gloud. Issues-wise, actually, let me say, for pull requests, we've got 6 open as of last night. And issues-wise, we closed 9 issues, 5 people did, and 10 issues were opened by 5 people. So we're actually up 1 issue. And there's a total of 128 open issues across all the repositories. Check the notes for the details on that. Download stats wise, the latest unstable release is beta 0. And since the last meeting, we've had 73 more downloads for a total of 255. It's not surprising. A lot of people just download the stable version. Speaking of the stable version, the latest is 2.3.1, and we've got 376 downloads over the last week of that. And then, of course, both versions are actually shipping on hardware right now. The M4 support is only for the unstable 3.0 versions, so the Metro M4, the ITZY M4 are ITZY Bitsy M4 ship with one of the 3.0 early versions. The rest of the boards ship with a version of 2X or some sort, depending on when the test jig that updates it actually was updated. So it's always good to update any new hardware that you get. Yeah, so overall, we have 10 open issues for 3.0. I'm going to do beta 1 today to get it out, and then I will try to work on those 10 open issues. And once those issues are down to 0, once we don't know of any active issues for 3.0, we'll do a release candidate. And the way that works is that when we'll do a release candidate and see if we find any bugs. If we don't find any bugs, we'll actually release it as the latest stable version. And that's the place we want to get to. We want to get to this point, and I've been talking about it for a while. Want to get to the point where we're no longer supporting 2X. We're ideally on 3.0 for everything. So we're getting there, which is really good. Okay, so that is the state of CircuitPython. Let's move on to Hug Reports. Hug Reports is a chance for you to say thank you to people in the community for the awesome work that they've done. Because we do this meeting every week, it tends to be like what they've done in the last week, but it doesn't have to be. Feel free to say thank you to anyone for whenever. It's always nice to say thank you to folks. So the way I'll do it is I'll start and then I'll give Andon a chance. If you're text only, just know that that's the order that things go in, and I'll just read it off and then copy it into the notes. If you're lurking, like I know a couple people are, I'll just say that you are and go on. Okay, so for myself, for the last week, I wanted to give a hug report to Nick Zoic, who has done a lot of MicroPython work in the past and has just started helping us improve the ESP builds in particular. So Nick is working on adding pulse in support along with some rudimentary pulse out support in the ESP8266, which is exciting. I want to say big thank you to Jay Epler for both fixing the stack issues that we had in the build, which is still in beta 0, but also for adding the Travis build for the ESP8266. I'm constantly breaking the build, which is annoying. But now that we have Travis actually building the ESP8266, that is so nice to be able to do it. And with the release today with beta 0, I'll actually plan on releasing the binary straight from the Travis build as well. So I'll make sure and test that before we actually release it, but it should make things easier and more reliable, which is great. And then lastly, I wanted to thank Jerry Needell and D. Halbert, Dan, for fixing the ESP8266 build after I broke it last week with my latest get paused stuff for Pulse-In. So thank you all, and more from me next week. Andon, do you have hug reports? Group hug, nothing specific. I've had other things taking my time. Awesome. Thank you, Andon. Brent.
Yeah, a huge hug report to Mike Teachman for the MQTT library for Adafruit.io. It's really cool. I'll talk more about it later. And also to Carol Willing for the CircuitPython Jupyter kernel.
What you should do is post links for those as well, and I'll put them in the notes, Brent. Sweet. Brent says okay. And I typoed Mike Teachman to be Techman, which is also cool. Okay, Carter.
Hey, just group hug for me from this week.
Group hug.
Yep.
Awesome. Sethan?
Hi there. Save you having to read it out. Just a bunch of really handy contributions from developer of Thonny and the ESP tool guys for being open to weird things that I want to do with it.
Awesome.
And accepting PRs that aren't really relevant to the main use case, but you know they've been open to it, so that's great. And a group hug.
That is great. That actually reminded me, I should mention that Thonny has preliminary CircuitPython support, and definitely deserves a hug report. Ivar does as well. So thank you for reminding us of that. All right, C. Grover, you're ahead of me. Let me take a time code and then I'll read it off. Group hug to the awesome CircuitPython team. Originally, I could only understand about 10% of the discussions. Now I'm up to 20%. Exposure to the technical terms and approaches has helped me to spur me to learn more. Focused hugs to Old Crow for sharing his module playground work. Has changed my approach to MIDI control message handling for my CircuitPython microsynth project. Also to John Park, who provided feedback and patiently endured my obsessed ramblings about the microsynth project and supporting PCBs. More importantly, he gave me some new vectors to pursue regarding the overall approach to music synthesis. I will need a bigger maker budget. Don't we all? I've been thinking a little bit about that in terms of this upcoming gaming handheld as well, of generating beeps and bloops and stuff for folks. So thank you, C. Grover. Dan.
I've been working on, worked on almost 10 days on and off. There was a bug with the PDM-in, that is the microphone, the digital microphone code that we have, which is on Circuit Playground and also on some breakout boards. And the problem is that it will hang sometimes. It seems to lose a notification that there's data coming in. So we know what, I spent a long time working on this. I know what it isn't. Mm-hmm. And I still don't know, we still don't understand exactly what it is, but I know how to detect it and basically break out of that. And so it happens, it doesn't happen that often. And so I added some code to ameliorate the problem and make it not hang. And you'll just lose data maybe for a fraction, for one sample. Mm-hmm. Or something. So that's not too bad. And I've also been working on some other some kind of home projects. I'm going to build a Cricut project with a cardboard Adabot, and I'm working on an assistive technology project too. And tonight, I'm going to the Boston Python. Let's see. Wait a minute. I'm spilling over. I'm not doing the wrong things.
Oh yeah, this is Hug Reports, isn't it?
This is Hug Reports, right? Hug Report. Whoa. Okay. I'm getting ready for something, and I've got like all this stuff all over my desk, and I'm trying to do three things at once. The Hug Reports are that thanking Scott for a lot of discussions about the PDM-in bug, which now you know what it is. Yeah. And also for Jeff Epler and Jerry on various debugging and PR stuff. And I'll go back to the progress later.
I didn't even realize it myself.
Yeah.
So I have notes for later.
Okay.
And Charles just dropped out again. I was going to ask. Okay, Dave.
It's funny Dan mentioned spilling over. I just dumped a glass of iced coffee over my desk.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's under control. Hug reports. Mostly this week, one to Radomir for putting up with my whining on the weekend about CP3 on the M4. I moved from a CPX running CP3 to a Metro M4 running CP3, and everything slowed down like by orders of magnitude. It wasn't. It was an interesting issue, which I'll go into later. But you know, he basically was a sounding board and let me work through the issues until I found it. So thanks for that.
Awesome. That's great. I love it when people help other folks out. Okay, Deshipu, Radomir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. This time it's fixed. Okay,
Yeah.
so group hack, basically. Thank you all for being us.
Thank you. All right. Jeff Epler is lurking. And Jerry is on a plane lurking as well. Which makes it easy to remember because they're right next to each other in the list. Katney.
Yeah, so ran into weird bugs this weekend.
Are you doing hug reports?
Yes.
Okay.
I am. Good catch though. It's Summersoft. Nobody had responded, and I didn't really expect anyone to. And Summersoft responded and ended up talking through it with me, so I was able to figure out a way around the bug. So that was super helpful. Group hug to, or not group hug, hug to Dan for doing the same thing, talking through some bug issues with me and helping me out with that, and a group hug to everybody for being awesome. It's always great to get on Discord, and when we've been gone or aren't around and everything is still great and people are being awesome, it's always a good thing. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah, it is always a good thing. Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. I award 10 points to Dan for using the correct, using the word ameliorate in a sentence correctly. For everybody who uses a multi-syllable word like that, they will get 10 points, which are worth nothing in the Adafruit shop. Quick note to Dave. I went to your guide and just tweaked it, and Lamore has it right now, so it should go live very soon now.
Very cool.
And it looks like we're going to, you know, it's not out, don't ask, but I'll be writing a guide on using servos and motors, which should help make it clearer for people to use those with Adafruit products and the languages we support. So
cool.
You don't have to sift through all of the kind of example programs to kind of steal the code you want. Hopefully it'll just be you know, find the right place in the guide, grab the code block, paste it in, and tweak as you need, and then it'll make it easier to code motor type projects.
Nice. I'm starting to think maybe we should do hug reports and status updates in one go around.
I think you should, because I just blew it again.
All right, well,
okay.
Maybe next week we'll try that.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. I'm just adding a note to myself. Nis?
Yeah, I'm going to stay off mic right now, but I wanted to type that in.
Okay, I'll read it out. Nis says, thanks for pointing out Summersoft for pointing directly to the list of supported CircuitPython boards to a user. I need to start paying attention to README files. And to the Maloo for keeping me aware of ESP8266 enough to know it's supported in CircuitPython. For the CircuitPython devs who dared to develop this Python very publicly on Discord. Thank you. I like being so open about stuff. You find people like you all that help out, which is awesome. All right. SDWNJ. Scott.
Yes, just general kudos to everyone here, plus the MicroPython microbit people and Thawny.
And microbit, MicroPython, and Thawny folks. Sweet. All right, Summersoft is here. What is your hug reports? Just a group hug. Thanks for making it, and Charles is not in. I'm sorry I missed them. Okay, that's hug reports. Thank you everybody for doing that. And those of you who did status updates in there, you're more than ready for this next section, which is status updates. So this is something very common in software development, where you get together and just kind of do a round the room sort of, let's talk about what we're working on, what we've done in the last week and what we're doing this week. It's a great chance to come up with ideas between different tasks that people are working on, and also get ideas for like, hey, you might want to look at this or that, or you might want to do it this approach. So it's super useful generally, and it doesn't need to be super fast. So I'll start, and it's just a round robin like hug reports is. I got some changes to pulse in, checked in on Friday thanks to Dan. Basically, if you gave it too fast of a pulse, you starved the CircuitPython circuitry, and like your USB would hang, and it would not be good. It wouldn't go into safe mode because it is actually running. It's just not running the stuff that's critical to you actually being able to use it, which is unfortunate. I had a number of smaller fixes so the way that works is that if you get a fast frequency, it will auto pause the pulse in, which basically stops the interrupt. Along the way, I had to tweak some SAMD clock stuff that Notro added, so it was slightly smaller. And I changed the way the interrupts work. So interrupts are now prioritized in a better way, where most interrupts are low priority and USB and systic are higher priority, which means that monotonic should actually be more reliable than it has been in the past. And I also did some visualization of the code size. So I wrote a big long Python script that's in the tools directory, where you give it an ELF file, and what it tries to do is draw the relationship between all of the different pieces of code and variables that are baked into the binary itself, trying to figure out how to make it smaller, which would have the effect of us being able to add more frozen modules or more C code to support stuff. So that's checked in. I want to do beta 1 today along with a newsletter after this meeting, and then I'll get back to bug hunting for 3.0. We have 10 issues open, so I want to make that number even lower. And in general, I've also been doing a lot of brainstorming and kind of research around the gaming handheld design and APIs. And I ordered the second version of my Game Boy cartridge last night as well. So that should come in a week or two from Oshpark, which would be great. So that is my status update. Andon, what is yours? Oh yeah. Lady Ada is posting leaks. Andon's status update is, I'm taking a poke at looking into the next version of my digibadges and what I'll need to include a SAMD chip, likely the 21 for CircuitPython on there. I'll definitely be looking at the supersizing that Dave Astles did a while back. Yeah, and we're happy to help with that as well. So Lady Ada is teasing the Feather M4 in the chat right now. So if you are curious about that, but you're only listening, you should definitely pull up the video and take a look at that. All right, Brent.
Yep. I've been converting the IPython kernel for Jupyter Notebooks to CircuitPython, and Carol Willing has a lot of stuff done on it, but I implemented it for more Adafruit boards.
Okay.
And I'm doing a learn guide for that as well. So we'll do a leak as well.
Nice.
So there we go. And that's about it right now.
That's great.
CircuitPython.
It definitely needs more love, so that's awesome.
Hopefully this will bring it more love.
Definitely. All right, Carter.
Nothing new this week. Too much to report.
Okay. Stefan.
Okay, so I ran into some Miniterm things. I don't know if anybody else uses Miniterm. Maybe it's just me. But it's brilliant in that it is pretty much instantly available for anyone who has Python 3 installed, and creates a VT100 terminal emulator for you. But on Windows, it always had some screwy things. So I was using it a lot with Mac and Linux, and then eventually trying to persuade people to use it across platform, and then hitting Windows problems. But I think I may have fixed them now. So there's a pull that seems to now make it fully functional on Windows 10.
Awesome.
Which is pretty handy for me, anyway. Maybe for others. That's
Totally.
why I'm sharing it. And also, I'll be paste this in as well for reference. Taking care of William, the flying cat. He went out of my 3rd floor window. So,
oh no!
But he survived. You can see it 12 seconds into that thing. That's my neighbor's CCTV. And my neighbor coming around to tell me, you know, your cat is hanging out the window. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to think. He's been ordered by the vet to sit in a cage.
Oh no!
For 6 weeks because he's got a broken leg.
Aww.
So I'm trying to think of things to build that can make his life less tedious, trapped in a cage.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
no
thinking
fun.
things that appear or squeak, or just like periods of nothing happening, but then something that might be a bit like a mouse, or I don't know. So if you have any ideas for that, be very welcome.
Poor kitty. Oh, well, I hope it goes well. I feel for you.
I don't know if other people have built cat entertainer. The internet has probably got 1 or 2 things to say about that. But yeah, if you had any,
I think the challenge would be not hurting the leg at the same time. Like most of the cat toys probably involve cats running around like maniacs, like they usually do.
Exactly. So it's got to be outside the cage. It's got to be something he can watch, but not get involved with. So yeah, he can't move or touch anything or chase anything or grab anything. He's just got to sit there. So yeah, fish. That's a good idea. Ooh. But anyway, I should wait.
All right.
Wasting your time.
Well, you found the right channel for this. We can figure it out. All right. 28, 27. Okay, C. Grover. Mostly PCB revisions over the past week. The trinket-based rover family should be done after boards arrive next week, just in time to start looking at the Itsy Bitsy / Feather M4 for the next generation of building blocks. Had a breakthrough regarding the MIDI protocol stack issue I faced 2 weeks ago when trying to fill CircuitPython lists with verbose MIDI message descriptors. The primary issue was the space consumed by unused and undefined message headers. Woke up this morning and decided to go back to simpler but still verbose dictionaries with non-sequential index, leaving out unused definitions, and letting try except handle the missing elements. Duh. Next week's plan is to finalize the microsynth code and to assemble the rover board family with my spanking new hot air station. Wish me luck. That sounds awesome. Yeah. Stefan, your cat's getting an iPad. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so just to repeat again, I fixed the microphone code. I ameliorated the microphone code. Thank you for the multisyllabic points from Mike. And I'm planning to work on there are a number of SD card bugs, which may or may not be related, but should need to be retested with the latest 3.0 to see if they're fixed or not, and if not, what's wrong with them. And I'm working on a couple of other project-y things, like an AdaBot, cardboard AdaBot that does semaphore flag signaling by moving its arms around, and an assistive technology project. And tonight I'm going to the Boston Python project meetup. I was invited to come to that. I'm going to bring a lot of gemmas. I have 36 gemmas on the desktop, which I'm reflashing with the latest 2.x for people to try out. And we'll see how that goes. But this is a general get together, and obviously there's supposed to be 175 people there. There may or may not be nearly that many who are interested in CircuitPython, but I don't really know. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. I've been really bad about going to the one in Seattle myself.
It'll be interesting to see how whether people are really interested or not. Yeah, or how I'm sure there will be people interested, but whether it's going to be like a sprint session at PyCon where we're going to have 10% of the people, or going to be more than that, I don't really know.
Right.
So it'll be interesting.
Awesome. Well, keep us posted. Let us know next week how it goes.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Dave Estels.
Okay. Hey. So I'm working on a Cricut-based project in conjunction with the Pinbox 3000 pinball game.
Right.
Cardboard pinball game. So it's going to be Cricut-based. I started off using Circuit Playground Express. Fairly quickly hit the RAM limits on that and decided, okay, there's the Feather M4 coming along with the Feather Cricut. I'll eventually move to that. I hacked together a shield for the Metro M4 to hack it onto the Cricut. So I have that all up and running. And when I did that, I noticed that, like I said earlier, that it all slowed down. I eventually traced it down to the fact that it wasn't properly reading one of the digital inputs via the Cricut. And I started by just copying some code from the guide, and it worked fine on the CPX. That's the CPX CircuitPython 3 build with the Cricut support built in. And that seems to do some initialization of those signal ports, because the code that I copied wasn't setting the direction to input. And so when I was trying to read it, it never saw the switch closing. It was always, I saw it always closed, which caused an event to fire, which took some time. There was a delay, which is what was slowing it down. So I put in an explicit setting direction and it worked fine. So I don't know if that's a desirable behavior or not, because of course with the Metro, I'm just using plain CircuitPython 3, the beta, with the Seesaw library.
Right. Could you file an issue for that? And we'll just take a look.
I guess, where would the issue go?
Either just CircuitPython or the Seesaw one.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the Seesaw thing works fine. There was a bit of initialization that was being done behind the scenes, I guess, in the Circuit Playground version.
Yeah,
I'll put
spot's
something
fine.
in. Yeah. Okay,
just so we
we'll
see
do.
it.
But now it's working great.
Good.
So watch for a guide in a while on that. That should be pretty cool. I've got to get my cardboard craft foo going with the actual pinball game and make some add-ons for it to mount the electronics and so forth.
Yeah, that sounds super fun.
So, all right, well, that's it.
Thanks. All right, Deshipu. I can't hear you, Radomir.
I was planning to work on the micro game firmware improvements to free some RAM and to maybe try to speed up the display updates by enabling DMA and hacking like that. But in the end, I ended up because PCBs arrived, so I ended up working on. this. which is a video pendant. It uses the same display as Adafruit cells. It's 160 by 80 display that is just below 1 inch in the diagonal, and it has a basically trinket circuit on it to display things on the display, to put it on your neck and have some meme playing there, or Rick Astley or something like that.
Yeah.
And also all the talk about robots made me dig out my old quadruped robot, spider robot project, and I decided to actually design a PCB to be sold as a kit on TeamD. So I started working on that, and yeah, and I have a first version of the PCB for it. I started this weekend. I also soldered my first QFN package of the SAMD21, which turned out to be much easier than I anticipated. So it's not as difficult as other QFN packages.
Yeah.
I had to deal with. So so this time I'm also using here a QFN package.
That looks super neat.
As you can see, the plan is to use the PCB itself for the mechanical parts of the robot too. So we will see how that works.
That makes a lot of sense. That looks super cool. I'm excited to hear more about it. And Adabot is the right reaction. Let me click it. Okay. Let me just ping Lady Ada and see if she wants to do hug reports and status updates. She may be away from her desk at this point. While we wait for that, why don't you go, Katney?
Okay. So, I think this is all of what happened since last week. So we updated the CircuitPython expectations. Did we do that before last week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Okay. So we expanded CircuitPython expectations. It has a lot more troubleshooting stuff in it. Please take a look at it.
Expectations?
Yes. It's in the Essentials guide.
Okay. It's in Essentials. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason to take a look at it is that there's a lot of commonly asked questions in it, some of which were submitted by you guys.
Right.
And it's a good place to be able to point people. So if you take a look at it and you know what's there, when a community member asks that question, you'll know to point them to that page instead of having to answer the question yourself, which is like the whole point. Released the Circuit Playground or CircuitPython made easy on Circuit Playground Express, which is using the CPX Express class library. We had no guide for that. It was only on Read the Docs, and now there is a massive guide for it that goes through each function that it has and has examples for it and builds on it and that sort of thing. I updated the Cricut guide so the installs are there. I thank you, Scott, for posting that link.
Oh yeah,
other Scott. Yeah. I updated the CircuitPython Essentials internal RGB LED page. The code was missing an import there, and so I needed to update that in the guide for that. I fixed the Featherwing library for the Joy Featherwing. There were changes to the Seesaw API, and so I had to change how the import worked on that. We have finished the code of conduct. The next step is that we want to get a broader review from all of Discord, which is something that we are considering doing today. And for what I'm going to be doing, or what I'm currently doing is working on a guide for rotary IO. It has the basic example that is included in Read the Docs, and then it also has an example that uses rotary IO to create a volume control knob that also does play pause for your computer. And then I'm going to add that in. It's going to be a basic introduction to rotary encoders. Lady Ada's intention is to add a Arduino page to it as well, so it'll be just like the other hardware or driver guides that exist, where it just sort of shows you, some basic stuff for it. The next thing I'm going to be doing is working on a GitHub workflow guide. We get that question a lot. People want to know what's a good workflow. I have a workflow that works for me, and this actually came out of the fact that we added continuous integration to the Learn repo. Which meant that people can't push directly to it, which means they need to understand how to do pull requests and reviews and understand how to read the Travis output and that sort of thing. So because we've gotten this question both for CircuitPython libraries, and also we know that we need it for the Learn repo, it's time for a guide. So it's not going to explain how Git and GitHub work, but It is going to be a workflow that will link to a guide that does explain all that. So it will be a full, from start to finish, workflow for contributing. So
sounds
that's
awesome.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'm going to be putting in after that is we're going to make sure that the itsy bitsy M4 works on all of the CircuitPython Essentials code. It should, but we want to test that anyway.
Yep. Great.
And that's where I'm at. I'll be traveling. I'll be gone for a week and a half, but I will be working, but I'll be somewhere else.
Right.
And I'll be traveling tomorrow, so I'll be flying, so I won't be around during the day.
Yep.
Until afternoon, I will be around.
That's the 12th.
Yep.
And then the 21st?
Correct, is when I come back.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get to Mike, I'm going to read out the stuff that Lady Ada has posted and copy them into the doc as well before they scroll too far away from me. Hug reports to everyone, specifically Katney for rocking out the CPX guide. It's excellent. Dan for fixing the PDM bug that bedeviled her. Me, Scott for diving into gaming thoughts, and Brent for writing some sweet guides. And of course, contributors Carter, Sefin, Summersoft, Shibu, Seagrover, Jay Epler, Jerry N. More. I see all the great projects and commits. They're awesome. And that has 4 chef Blinka emoji responses, which I guess I should add. We have more Blinka icons we could add as well. In terms of status updates from Lady Ada, update for me is Itsy Bitsy M4 is out, Feather M4 on the way. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the chat. No plans yet on the Mega M4, but we'll probably saunter into it sometime this month. Feather Cricket is out as well. It has appropriate cricket emojis. Great for Featherbots. Could be used with M0 Express or ESP8266 for IoT bots. And that's looks like it. Okay. Now it's your turn, Mike.
Okay. Quickly, as I said before, we're working on better documentation, easier documentation for motors and servos with CircuitPython and Cricket. I also did a guide last week on audio files, what kind of audio files CircuitPython likes, and then actually what tools you might want to use to get your favorite audio from wherever it is into that format. And you know, there's sound everywhere. You can record it yourself. You can a lot of people like, you know, sound effects on YouTube or something. So, you know, how do you get a YouTube video to a WAV file sound effect? Well, if it takes a few steps, but there's information on there on exactly how to do it.
Right.
So hopefully everybody's projects using CircuitPython will have lots of cool audio, and you don't have to get too frustrated because there's pretty much step by step how you can get it just right. And never assume that some audio file you find on the internet, you know, somebody's, you know, Star Trek wave panel files are the exact same kind of format that you can just drop onto a project and use. Check them out.
Thank you.
Other than that, everybody's doing great work. Thank you. See, that's a hug report. See, I threw that into
You're just doing it all twice. It works out. We can never have too many hug reports, Mike. All right, Nis.
Hi. I'll just try to read through this.
Okay.
Studying the uses of the H-bridge, DRV 8833, and trying to learn the heuristics of estimating, I've never said that word out loud, which loads will be within the constraints of the Cricut at 5 volts. Trying to learn to stay within the design goals of the Cricut instead of, you know, circumventing them, which is my usual MO. Let's see here. Just scrolled off.
Right. Image previews.
I have it in another window. Where am I? Circumvention. Notice that basically there's one set of 4 Darlington drivers, the ULN 2003A, which is good for a singleton unipolar stepper, I believe. I don't think you can do 2.
Right.
And one set of 4 H-bridge terminals for the bipolar stepper. This is just, I'm focused on steppers right now. I think the 350 milliamp limit is probably good for that. I'm still trying. I found a Jamico 5 volts 1 ampere bipolar stepper. I think that abuses this chip. I don't think we have the capacity for that.
Right.
So I'm looking for a smaller, lower torque stepper.
Yeah. And there's also the like half step, full step stuff for steppers as well, where if you're
does that impact duty cycle?
How
hot it gets?
It impacts how much current it draws, because it's in terms of how many coils you have active for each step, whether you're using all 4 coils or you're only using 2 coils, something like that, or like 2 phases or whatever.
Yeah, see, I don't know how to derate because of the back EMF stuff going on there. You know, if it was straight DC stuff, it would be fine, but I don't really. I'm out of my depth here.
Yeah, when I was doing the drivers for that, I was just seeing it with my benchtop power supply. I could just tell that if I was on a full step or I forget what the terms are, but like I'd be able to see just using the benchtop power supply, like it's using half of what it was using the other time, and vice versa.
Okay.
Which is so in terms of like current draw, you could think about that. So,
all right. Well, you know, I'm not there yet, but you know, the main brainstorm I came up with was that the 1 amp Jamico 5 volt stepper is probably gonna melt it. So you know, I'm not sure, but
no, probably at 1 amp, you're probably at the max. I think that chip, like the one on Cricut, has like the drivers doubled up because there's like 8 drivers, I think, and it uses 4. I'd have to ask more of that, but there's a stepper motor guide that's already existing on the learning system, there might be some nuggets of wisdom there, and I'll try to remember, and writing the new guide coming up, some of those kind of questions. So you know exactly kind of what you got, what you can kind of push, and what you better not, or else you might lose smoke. But that's good to know. But yeah, I think driving a 1 amp stepper is you're pushing at the max, and nothing good will come of it. If you can find something a little less have less wattage on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, the circuit's current limited, but I don't think that is the full picture. In other words, that's like your backup when you make a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
rather than throwing too much of a load at it and expecting that current limiting to, make up for your lack of understanding.
Yeah, current limiting, kind of, it's kind of there to. It's like a net to catch you, and it's not something that you should. It's not the front line.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Nis, and let us know how the blue smoke works out, if or not.
I will.
Pink Vampire, thanks for joining us. Do you have any hug reports, thank yous to people on Discord, or any CircuitPython projects you're working on? Nope. All right. Let's go on to Scott.
Okay, so this week I got through the microbit tutorials, like the table of contents. It starts with tutorials, and the bottom is like API documentation. So I got through the tutorials. I'll have to go back and read more of the API. There were some issues with the documentation where they were basically treating the discussion of piezo buzzers as if only active ones existed. So I attempted to edit the tutorial a bit and send a pull request, but the response I got was, I guess they know that it's an issue, and it sounds like they haven't quite figured out how to handle it, so it's kind of like backburners.
Yeah.
So, but then I wanted to print a stand for my microbit, and I'm having issues with my 3D printer, so I went to my local makerspace, and I wanted to also bring the microbit along and like show people what it can do. I had brought it the other few weeks ago, and I had there's issues with you can't, if you're using make code, you can use an app on a phone and send things over Bluetooth to load different apps on it.
Yep.
But so I had kind of bundled up a bunch of demos into one file and added a little system where you could use the buttons to jump from one to the next, and then ran into the memory issues of it can only hold so much.
Right.
So I decided to try to use a borrowed Chromebook to be able to load different things on there, and tried to figure out, I wanted to like kind of pre-hexify all the stuff so I could just drag and drop it. Tried to use the microflash utility, thought that would allow me to do that, but the problem is that all of the it always gives an output file name of micropython.hex. So no matter what input you put in, the output is always the same. So if you do that multiple times, you're just overwriting. So I decided to work on that and hack that. So yeah, I worked on that. I've got it working. Now I have to figure out how to rejigger all the tests to make it not complain that I've broken it,
right?
Even though it's working. So that's where I've gotten to.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like really good progress experimenting with MicroPython and the microbit. Keep us posted on how that goes, and also with the Thonny stuff, if you've experimented with that, also really interested to hear about that.
I did talk to Ivar, so yeah, hopefully I'll be doing some more about that.
Cool. I know that lots of folks really do like the Thonny stuff. So having more editor choice is always a great idea. So thanks. All right, we're going to circle back to Pink Vampire. So go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, so it's basically my first time in the Adafruit Discord channel.
Welcome.
And I'm not a very good programmer, but I'm a machinist. I like to cut metal. And I have a CNC machine and a lathe.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's basically it. If you know a good place to get brass cheaply. And now I'm working on something in KCAD and try to force myself to learn it. So if you have like, good tips on that, it's gonna be helpful.
I've used it before, so feel free to ping me if you have questions about it.
About KCAD?
Yep. For a PCB
right.
design?
Yeah, for a PCB design.
Yeah.
So what is your nickname? Because there's so many people here.
Yeah, I'm the person at the bottom. Tannewt. Tannewt. My name is Scott. And I work for Adafruit.
Oh, so you work. I'm not kind of used to this kind. I'm mostly on WhatsApp, so for me it's kind of new.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know on the Discord phone app. I usually use it on desktop. But usually you type the @ sign and then starting the user's name.
Yeah, I start with Discord, I think, right when they started it. So my username is kind of vintage in the Discord system, but I barely use it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, welcome. And this is actually the middle of the CircuitPython weekly meeting that we do. So if you haven't tried CircuitPython, I know you said you don't program very much, but you should give it a shot and let us know how it goes.
But what kind of thing it does, or what? I never heard of it, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like Arduino, where you'd use it on a microcontroller to make a robot do something, or play a sound, or pretend to be a keyboard, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I used the Arduino Nano, a few times, and I just can't push myself to write code.
Well,
I'm very good for designing the project, machining the parts and everything, but when it comes to code, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This is not my thing.
Well, I think our goal is to make CircuitPython easier than what Arduino is. So maybe if you gave it a shot, you'd discover that programming is actually something.
It's not like about like give it a shot or something like that. It's about like the stuff you like, or the way do you like to do stuff, or stuff like that. So I like the more like the hardware, the physical stuff, and design stuff on SolidWorks and make them reality. But sit in front of the computer hours and write code. It's not my thing at all.
Yeah, I totally understand. I was a software person originally, and definitely find a lot of satisfaction in doing the hardware stuff. So, as folks in the chat are saying, like, we have a bunch of resources if you want to do it, but also there's lots of people that are happy to help with projects as well.
There's people from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania in this area.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm actually on the West Coast, but there are definitely people over there as well. So.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Well, welcome, and we'll keep going with this meeting here.
All right.
Thanks. All right, Summersoft, you're the last person. Do you have any status updates? I know you're busy. Okay, Summersaw says, in terms of high frequency pulse in, SAMD51 is working with the EIC event system, though it seems less accurate than the SAMD21 in my testing. May be related to the DFLL48. Has started framework for using count as an alternative as suggested by me, Tanute. Also reading on the NRF timer docs for implementation since the high frequency pulse in issue was closed. I was thinking of changing the frequency counter issue to separate out the sensor that is requested into a different issue. Dismantled an old satellite surround speaker to see if I can use it as a little Leslie amp using CircuitPython and Cricut. Plan to use an Adafruit box, but currently speakers are too large. Still early days on this. That sounds like a really interesting project. Thank you, Summersoft. Okay, we've gone through everybody, so that just leaves us in the weeds, which is our section where we just talk about any other random stuff that we want to cover. Anybody have topics? Nobody mentioned anything earlier.
I heard a conversation about the stepper motor, and you say something high current and stuff like that.
Yep.
I basically try to avoid using steppers as much as I can in my projects, and I prefer servo motors. And I only had good things to say about moving to servo motors.
Yeah. Why is that?
Much faster.
Much faster?
No heat, much faster. Slightly more expensive, but now the prices are almost the same. Especially on the large stepper motors. Or if you go to the Nemo 23 or 34, it's almost the same price. So there is no reason to go stepper. Oh my god, my compressor.
It sounds like the Adafruit factory.
Yeah, it's a small factory. It's an apartment with a benchtop milling machine that converts to CNC, and there is a lathe.
That's awesome.
There is a teddy bear machine.
That sounds like a fun place to live.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a very small apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion topics? Otherwise, I'll stop the recording here and then we'll hang out and do stuff.
I'm not talking about RC server. I'm talking about like the Gecko drive server or.
Could you put some
stuff
links?
Like that.
I know you're on your phone. That might be
G.
hard, but some links would be good tips for people. And I'm taking notes, so I'll put them in there as well.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, this is the one I'm using. It's amazingly good. I have it for years, 4 of them. Work like a charm, like.
Interesting.
But those are very high powered compared to the tiny stepper motors. Maybe I can put like images of the stuff.
Totally. Yeah, and if you're not aware, we do Adafruit does a show and tell on Google Hangouts on Wednesdays at 7:30 Eastern, where you can show the projects that you're working on, and we always love to see what folks are doing.
I actually never order stuff from Adafruit.
That's fine. We're still happy to see your projects.
Yeah. But to use the framework, the stuff.
Yeah, the code.
The code, yeah.
That's awesome.
It was very helpful. Oh, pictures. I just realized I have so many stuff in Imgur.
Okay, well, I'm gonna finish the meeting, but we can hang out here and take a look at your projects after the meeting as well.
Okay.
We're over an hour, so I'm gonna wrap it up, and then those of us who want to check it out, we can hang out here. So this is the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly for June 11th, 2018. If you're interested in joining, you can always join us on our Discord voice channel. To join it, you go to the URL adafru.it/discord and join us there. It's usually Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Drop in, say hi, tell us what you're working on. The videos and the recordings of the meeting are available on the Adafruit YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Adafruit. If you've missed it before or you want to watch it again, that's where you can go. And you can join us all week on the Discord as well in the text channel. So I think that's it. We should be normal time next week. So thank you, everybody. And hang out, chat, and have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.